first of all, happy first week birthday to Nothing is True and Everything is Possible. And of course,
Thank you.
congrats to your number 2 on the UK charts, in the UK charts. It's amazing.
Thank you very much. How did you're like well in touch. That only got announced like 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I know. I saw that. Yeah, that's interesting. Fits perfectly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's my celebratory background for the number 2 chart position.
great, great. I've got here my little book, so if you're wondering why I'm looking there, where the questions are. So, how was this week, the first week of the release for you and your band? How did it go?
I mean, it went really well considering we had to cancel everything, like all our release shows, so much of our promo. You know, we were supposed to go to New York, Moscow, throughout Europe. We were supposed to do 2 weeks here in the UK, and it all got cancelled. So we were pretty worried that the album wouldn't travel as far. It wouldn't have the reach that it would have, and I don't think it has. But like our fan base is, I just love them so much. Like they're so passionate, and it's felt like a very punk DIY release, because you know the main way that we've got the word out there is just through word of mouth, like traditional, good old word of mouth. And yeah, so many people have been listening to it and telling their friends about it, and it's spread far and wide. So it's great. But at the same time, it's just so weird. Like I haven't been able to celebrate the release with the band, with our management, with our team. I haven't been able to meet people and at the signings and thank people for buying the album and stuff. So it's been very strange. Just a mixture of emotions.
But did you at some point kind of regret that you not postponed the album release?
No, I don't think so. I mean, yeah, obviously it would have been better to postpone it to a time where we could do the full promotion schedule, and the album would travel far and wide. But I don't know. I think it would just be a bit cynical to do that. Like, I think now more than ever, people need a flow of art and music. Like in times of hardship, music is just it's something to fall back on. It's something to keep you feeling positive, and remind you of the sense of community that we all feel by listening to music. You know, we're all vulnerable to the emotions that music makes us feel. So it just felt to us like it would be I use the phrase, a dereliction of duty, to postpone the album. I think it would be, it wouldn't be a very, I don't know what to describe. Just not a decent thing to do. I think and also like we're so excited to have it out there, and we're so excited to hear what people think. So like it would be tough on us to have to push the album back as well.
Yeah, that's great what you said, actually. And now you have got at least a little bit to do in quarantine. Like you can do live streams and stuff like that. And otherwise, you would just sit there and feel like, oh, when can we finally release the album?
Yeah, I've definitely been very busy. Like a lot of my friends have, and the main complaint for lockdown has been that they're bored. But I definitely haven't been bored yet. I've been very busy.
See, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think this was the first time with this album that you produced the whole thing. And I would like to know what made you doing this. Was there maybe something where you said, I want it exactly that way or this way, and that's why you produced it?
Yeah, there was just a few instances when we've been recording like our previous albums where I'll have ideas, and because I'm not the one at the computer a lot of the time in the studio, I'll just forget them, or I won't. Sometimes it's very hard I find it hard to verbalize an idea. Like but I could do it. I could try it if I was in control. So that was one of the main reasons, really. Just if I'm still in control of the whole process, then the process can keep progressing and new ideas can keep flowing all the time. And I just learned so much over the last few albums, and I just thought it was time. Like I think this album is so detailed, it's so layered that it needed an amount of attention and a serious amount of effort that I would actually feel quite bad asking of another human being. So I think it just made sense to keep it all in house. And to be honest, I think it's our best produced album that we've ever done. So I'm really happy.
Well, that's great that you say that. I mean, it would be bad if it wasn't that way. So you made everything right. It sounds like that.
I hope so.
Perfect. And I read, I don't know where, in an interview or a post, I don't know, that Chris is actually always watching over everything, that everything works live when you perform your songs live during the recording sessions. And then I also read that you, for example, at the King, that you used 5 snare drums and in general a lot of pedals with Rory's guitar. And I want to know, how do you solve this problem live later?
Yeah, well, that's a question for Chris.
Okay, so you don't have to answer if you can't or you don't want to.
No, it's fine. It's a very long and arduous process. I don't envy Chris. It's really difficult. I mean, we're all involved in the process, but yeah, Chris is sort of the main guy for like replicating everything live. So he's our Ableton wizard. So it's just very long. First of all, we decide what parts can be played on what instruments, who can play them, who's free at what points to play what, who can sing what. Because a lot of the backing vocals, sometimes it's either all me or sometimes there's like 3 backing vocals of Rory. So we have to like work out who's going to do what part. And then it's just a lot in terms of the effects. It's a lot of programming, all the MIDI and stuff. And then snare drums, it's all about triggers and it's just a lot of boring technical work, really.
Okay. I find it interesting, but I don't know if people out there find it interesting. Thanks. And then I would like to know, I read also that the King almost didn't make the deadline. So why was that?
Well, yeah, I mean, the King was the track with 5 snare drums in it. So production-wise, it was very detailed. It was quite a difficult one to get right with the drums. But also, this song went through 5 choruses. I just couldn't find the right vibe for the chorus, and the choruses that went through, we liked them and we really enjoyed them, but I don't think they were quite right for the song. And then finally we found the chorus that we have now, and then the song was just like, okay, that's it. Now it can be on the album. Like, we just wanted everything on the album to feel like finish, and we were like completely content with it, because it's sometimes you can think like, I'm like 99% certain that this is finished, but I'm not sure, and I hate that, because then there's only a few songs that we've done that with, I think, but you always end up thinking, we should have done that, we should have done that. So yeah, just had to finish it probably.
But I mean, that's always the kind of problem with art. You always can do better and something else and something more or stuff like that. So
yeah, absolutely. And if you keep going with a song so much, you end up fatigued by it, and then you have no energy to finish a song, and you just move on to the next one because it's more exciting, because it's new and fresh. So yeah, there's a good middle ground to find where the song is still exciting, but you're still content with it being finished.
Okay. And with reprise number 3, it obviously reminds of Common Dreads. And I want to know, why have you chosen it that way? Why have you made it that way, that it reminds one of Common Dreads, and even with this And Still We Will Be Here?
Well, it's just a wonderful phrase that has just stayed with us, regardless of whether we thought it would or not. Like, it's now a chant that people do live, that the audience does live. Like, and I didn't know that would ever happen, but and it's just become something larger than I think we ever thought it would, that phrase and those pads, those chords. they're powerful anyway, but now that they've got the added nostalgia, it makes it so powerful. And I think this album, from the outset, we were trying to make it like the definitive Shikari record. So, it kind of represents each era of the band. So we thought, we'd make that obvious by actually putting the reprise in from Take to the Skies and the Common Dreads, and just bring it back.
This is so great. I must admit, I really love that. When I heard this the first time, I was like, oh my God, they didn't really do this right now. Oh my God. I was completely like, I think it's so amazing. I love it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you've got a lot of orchestra parts in the on the album, even a whole track of it. And you work together with the composer George Fenton. And I would like to know, when did you bring up this idea to have an actual track with only an orchestra in it, and how it was to work with George together?
I think the idea was basically me wanting to push myself in terms of progressing with my composition skills. And there was a couple of tracks or a couple of pieces I was writing, and Elegy just felt like it was within Shikari's universe. It felt like even though it didn't have any guitars or drums in, it felt like it was still Shikari. So I was like, okay, I'm going to develop this properly. So I wrote the piece. And then I thought, well, if this is actually going to be on the album, then I don't want it to be like MIDI. I don't want it to be fake instruments, synthesized instruments. I want it to be proper. I want it to be human beings playing instruments.
So, sorry to interrupt you, but you had an actual orchestra that recorded this?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is so cool.
Yeah. So all the like the classical instruments on the album, so the brass, the strings, the percussion, and the woodwind, it's all real. And that was like something that we were really adamant that we wanted from this album. So I went out to Prague and recorded with the City of Prague Symphonic, and they were brilliant. Obviously amazing classically trained musicians, and they were so good. And George Fenton basically guided me through the whole process, because I've never, I've written, I play the trumpet, so I can write for brass, I can write for strings, but a whole orchestra is like really overwhelming. So it's really difficult. And George basically guided me through the whole process. He was a mentor, really. He was absolutely brilliant. Like he's a man of such talent. So it was amazing to have him involved.
This is so cool. This is so amazing. I haven't known that you have been actually there and recorded all this stuff. This is amazing. Oh my God. So cool. And did you actually play the trumpet on all the tracks when you hear a trumpet?
Yes. Yeah. So, in Elegy, obviously there was like 4 trumpets in the orchestra. So I didn't play the trumpet in Elegy. That was the orchestra. But all the other trumpet on the album, like in Marionettes, in Waltzing Off the Face of the Earth 1 and 2, that's me. And it's my brother on trombone, and some of our friends on saxophone and tuba as well.
This is so cool, like a whole family thing. It sounds like
yeah.
Great. And then I just have to ask this question. You created the word apocalypse, and obviously it's from apocalypse. Is it pronounced? Do I pronounce it right?
Apocalypse. Apocalypse. Okay. Yeah.
And alcoholic. And I want to know if you see yourself as an apocalypse.
I think so. I mean, I think that's what the original idea from the song was, that I'd be taking the piss out of myself, because I think it's very easy right now to think that everything is the end of the world. Like the last 5 years, we've had so many shocks, and it's very easy to drift into nihilism. It's very easy to drift into just fear all the time, just being your anxiety level just being at top, at red alert sort of thing. so yeah, the song is about all the different ways we as humans react to existential threats, and how we can use humor as a defense mechanism, really, as a way to process things.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, you can always use humor for that. I never thought of that this way. Okay, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
And then I read that the piano intro of the whole album, actually, of The Great Unknown, you recorded this piano intro, or this part, on your phone, like in 2013, I think. And now you put it up again, and just it made the way to the record. So I would like to know, are there more like snippets like this on your phone or stuff like that maybe can make it someday to a song? Do you do this often?
Of course. Yeah. So basically, with every album, I usually write for 4 months, and I'll write about 50 song ideas. And then the big difficulty is then working out which songs actually make it on the album. So the stuff that doesn't not make the album because it's like not good enough. It doesn't make the album because it hasn't been developed enough, or we can't quite get the vibe right or something. So there's always all this like treasure chest of old ideas that like sometimes I go back into. And yeah, so when we were recording the Mind Sweep, our 4th album, that was a piano riff I recorded, and it was in a completely different song. But I went back into that song last year and took out that piano thing, and I was like, actually, I think I can do something else with that excites me more. Mm-hmm. And that was how The Great Unknown was born.
And actually, my last question: how much do you miss saying switch live?
Oh, so much. Yeah. Yeah, we did a play along of the album the other day on Twitter, and there's that point where Marionettes 1 becomes Marionettes 2, and I just tweeted switch. And yeah, it's one of the most like powerful moments live, because obviously by saying switch, it means that the whole vibe is about to change, or the song is about to change into another song, or something big is going to happen. So you always feel so powerful saying that. So yeah, I definitely miss that.
That's great. So that's it, actually. Thank you so much for that.
Awesome. Okay, well, yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Hopefully see you at a show one day when we get back
to
normality.
Someday it will happen.
Take care.
You too. Thank you as well.
Bye.
Bye.